Assalamu alaikum again, everyone. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. And I'm really glad. I'm surprised at the overwhelming women that are here, more than the men, but it's fine. But yeah, but alhamdulillah, there are more boys speakers, so yeah, it balances out. But thank you again, everyone, for coming. And at the end, there will be food, inshallah, sweets and savory. So stick around for that, and a Q&A session at the end. So we'll save your questions till the end. I'm sure we all have a lot. And without further ado, please welcome the speakers with a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ali Salman. I'm 19 years old. I'm part of SPHR Concordia, and I've been a youth activist for since high school, since I've been in the UAE. Actually, it wasn't really very open activism, but I was lucky enough to come here and to meet people, to be active in my university, especially. And today, obviously, the topic is youth activism. And since I'm part of a student club, I think students are the soul of every revolution. We are the roots of the youth. We lead the youth. We are the reason we have such powerful advocates in Montreal and in other cities around the world. And I think it's very important that every person here who's young, who has energy, who's even a student, because unfortunately we in Montreal, we have universities and even cegeps that are very complicit in the genocide that's happening right now in Gaza. So I think my main part here is to urge people as much as I can, students especially, to mobilize and to find out what these universities that you're a part of, these cegeps that you're a part of, the institutions that you're a part of, to mobilize against that complicity and to use your energy in a right way. Because obviously, as I said, I'm 19 years old. I've been in this for a while, and I hope a lot of people can be in this as well, because we need young people. We need young people to come week in, week out. This is not over until what's happening in Gaza is over, until we liberate Palestine, inshallah. And we are the voice of the free people, and I hope every young person keeps being the voice of the free people. I think that's for my part today, and thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dana. I'm 21 years old. I'm also a Concordia student with Ali. We're both members of SPHR. And well, first of all, I'm very, very excited to be here tonight. I love that there's so many sisters. For me, Palestine has always been very, very important in my life. Both of my parents, they met during the Intifada. They were very involved in activism themselves. So that's something that I've carried on along with my brother. I think here in Montreal, we have an obligation with the resources that we have access to, with our privilege, but also knowing that we are existing in the belly of the beast. We're here alive in the center of imperialism and colonialism. We have things that our brothers and sisters on the ground in Palestine and Gaza do not have. And so for me, I see my advocacy as not only an obligation, but a privilege and a reminder of our humanity here. I think that we all owe it to ourselves and to each other to remind everybody around us that Palestine is the whole world. Beyond that, I also, alhamdulillah, I grew up Christian and I became a Muslim last year. And I think in that experience, it also really put me back in touch with my humanity and with the connection of religion and collective liberation and so on. So I'm really, really excited to be here of all places tonight with you guys. I hope that we can continue our fight together. And I just wanted to also remind everyone that it's always been the youth that have brought the energy to the cause. It's always been the young people who have reminded their parents that there is still hope, there's still the possibility of liberation. And inshallah, we will be telling our children about when Palestine was not yet free. So thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Bara Abu Hamid with Montreal for Palestine. I wanted to also speak about the same points that my colleagues here touched upon too. I wanted to start off first with the verse of the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وقل اعملوا فسيرى الله عملكم ورسوله والمؤمنون وستردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. So for those of you who didn't understand it, it says do. It's not a literal translation, please, so don't quote me on it. But like do, because Allah will see what you do, and His Prophet and the Muslims, and you will be brought back to the day of judgment, and Allah will show you. Allah will present to you everything that you have done and you have not done. All right, and with that, I wanted to start start my talk by addressing who we are. Here in Montreal as youth, everyone that's talking here, we come from what I see in the rooms, we are a lot of different ages, different races, different origins, we different genders, right? But one thing that unites us all is one thing, which is religion, and is our religion that we have right now, and our identity as Canadians, as Montreal residents, and as like people with a cause and people with families back home as immigrants at one day or phase of our lives, right? Our parents, our families, or whichever generation that you are in, let's reflect about why we came here, why they came here. There has been certain conditions that were too tough, certain conditions that we didn't live in the best like freedom or rights that are taken away from them, or they were persecuted for no reason, right? And they ended up coming here, leaving their lives behind, leaving their families behind, leaving their jobs behind, to come here for what they were told would be they would be able to get freedom, and they would be able to live in liberty without judgment, and practice their religions, practice speaking up without being attacked or being scared of al-Malik like what the king is going to say, or this you insulted this person. Why? Because the freedom of speech right now, finally we have our dignity, and we're able to stand up for what hurts us and everything. We're at a time now suddenly where all of that has flipped around, right? Everything that our parents came here for now is questionable. The parents that came here for freedom are now telling us, shh, not yet. Right? The teachers are telling us, shh, even though like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it was actually you're one of the cool people if you were responsible for the revolution that brought down the student, that stopped the tuition hikes, right? If you were part of like the LGBT movement, people were proud of that. Why? Because you spoke up in the streets and you stood up for what's right. Animal rights, same thing. Wow, you stood up for what's right. Environment, wow, you stood up for what's right. Ukraine, wow, you stood up for what's right. Rohingya, I don't know how many protests have you heard? Palestine, whenever there's like 5,000 people dead, we could speak up for 1 day, 2 days. Sudan, radio silence. These are all people, members, these are all nationality, original countries from where we came from. These are our homelands, right? And we're not speaking of them. This is stuff that's happening to the outside people. And you know what? But it's a war that's not here. We understand all of that now. Now, where does the surprise even come even worse? We're funding it. We're paying for everything, right? So now we come to an aspect where not only were we persecuted back in the day in history, we have moved, we have changed our lives, we have displaced to find freedom and to find our justice, and suddenly it's all taken away and everything is flipped. We don't have the freedom that we believed we have. We're not as innocent as we believe we have. This is a country that does not stand up for human rights as it says it does, because Every action, all of our funds, everything that's going, it's going against it. So what do we do from here? Where do we take it from there, right? And that's where that's why I touched about our identities. We have a Muslim obligation, we have a human obligation, and you have a society obligation of being part of any group, right? The religious obligation is very simple, it's very straightforward. Love for your brother what you love for yourself, right? It's that simple, right? And like I said, the verse that we just talked about, that like do good, because everything that happens, right? We're working and striving hard to complete our 5 daily prayers. We're striving hard to make sure we fast. We're striving hard to fulfill our zakah. We're striving hard to say like spread our religion, do da'wah, grow and make these events and do all of this. But at the same time, every single one of us is a direct funder to the genocide. This, guys, in front of Allah, we will be judged upon it. What did you do for every kid that passed away? Every kid that was martyred? Not for him. That kid doesn't need anything from you. He has Allah. But you, to not be punished for your lack of doing, you have a duty to them and to your consciousness. Because this is our blood, sweat, and tears that's being that came out with our money that we got paid with. Now we're paying it towards the government and it's being taken away and we're being sent for it. So it's killing our families back home. It's oppressing our people back home. And we're getting sent in front of Allah for it. But what is our religious call for it? Guys, if the day of judgment comes, there's a hadith that said it, and I'm not quoting it because I didn't memorize it, but there's a hadith that says, if you have a seed or like what's a plant before it becomes like a fully tree, like a sprout, yeah, a sprout, the word. If you have a sprout and the day of judgment comes, plant that sprout. Right now, guys, every one of us, we're practicing, we're trying everything, but some of us go and be like, guys, what's the use of a protest? But he says that while he's sitting in his house behind a computer, watching an anime, or just relaxing or playing games or something like that, without actually having an alternative, right? Or someone that says, oh, like why are you guys just bringing riots, or you're making the wrong image or something like that, or falling for the defamation? Why are you guys too loud? Why are you guys angry? Let's shway and all those things. Guys, every single action that you could do that you did not do, you will be judged for. Every single opportunity that came by, sprout that was in front of you, a seed that you did not plant, you will be asked on the day of judgment by the kid, why did you not plant this? Why did you not? And by those plants, I mean a Facebook post, share, participating in the events, voting, attending meetings and stuff. And this is our normal. I'm not talking about the war during times of war. I'm talking about the normal right now. This is our duty on a regular basis for anything that happens that we have an ability to control or influence or fix. Now, our moral obligation, where does it go? We are here to establish what our future is. You're not going to university and go to school to start a career, but forget to establish your part and your role in the society, right? Your participation in the society. You have a voice, you have rights, you have protection, you have we did not come here, waste all this time just so I could end up where my dad started, when he first arrived. No, recognize I'm a Canadian or permanent resident or even a refugee. Everyone here has rights, supposedly. We call them out for it. Why? Because in the future, every compromise that you do now will come back and bite you afterwards. And the proof is our parents telling us to shh. They were silenced. They experienced harder silencing than us, right? And they experienced really all kinds of tactics from the Zionists or from whatever agenda that they were confronting. My father until now, like, he's being asked for simple activism tactics, and let alone like us, the Palestinians, that have to go back after one time showing up in a protest, right? The border, right away, they show you the picture, high quality. This is not normal. This is not something that's okay. Do I avoid it? No. Why? Because avoiding it will only keep it where it is. And look at the Palestinian cause. Every compromise has brought us nothing but loss. And it's not even a compromise that the Palestinians did. It's someone decided that they could do on our behalf. Right? Compromise on your rights, it's only gonna come back and lose. You're gonna lose everything. Right? So that's when we're talking about the religious obligation. All in all, guys, our role is I just wanted to show you the importance on a human level, on a societal level. On that, I don't really need to dig into it because I've seen a lot of you in the protest. I know a lot of you understand what it is, but I'm using this to show and lay down for all of you that coming now, we're at 30,000 people dead, murdered. Sorry, shuhada. 15,000 of them are children, right? That's a normal thing to say. Guys, we're Muslims. 35,000 of your brothers and your sisters are murdered in front of your eyes. Right now, all the compromises that we have done until today, Gaza is paying the price for it. West Bank is paying the price for it. All of this is because you are scared for your future here. You are worried to speak up and do that because you don't want to lose your degree. You don't want to lose your job because your boss is a Zionist. You don't want to do those things. This right now is what brought us to this point that we have now. So what can we do from today to change all of that? Is by, like I said, recognizing that these people treat these people like you are fighting for your brothers and sisters' life. Because that's what we are doing. I want to remind you guys all that when one of us gets hurt, right? And this is also hadith of the Prophet. And the Muslims, with their support, with their unity, with everything, was supposed to be like the human body. If one part of the human body, right, let's say my kidney or my lung, right, is infected or has a virus in it, or it's in pain, the whole body strives and heats up and feels the pain in order to get it to heal. Right now, we're saying, okay, we don't want to bring the problem here. That doesn't work. That's not Islam. That's not who we are. That's not anything that talks about, regardless of where you come from, Jnub, Gaza, Dafa, it doesn't work. Right now, we're at a time where our brothers and sisters are dying. I need to stop everything that I'm doing and save my brothers and sisters, like as if their life depends on it, like as if they're being killed right in front of me, like right this distance. Just because there's an ocean between us does not change how much energy we should be putting into it. Guys, these are your sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. Guys, these people had normal lives. Normal lives. Just like you. They went to school, right? They had normal dreams. Maybe with a little more apartheid and occupation around it, but they have normal desires like us. They pray like us. But how come is it that we are more entitled to having a normal life than them? Are you okay with letting your eating a hamburger while your sibling is watching? Are you okay with drinking full water after with your sibling right next to you fasting? Are you okay to listen to music and have nice showers and waste money and keep ashtul ardu imsah dunya while your brothers and sisters don't have access to water or bread? It's your siblings, guys. Your own direct brother died, was martyred. So our next steps, guys, it's an escalation. From this point on, it's no business like usual. And we mean that. Just because I'm not just saying that because I want to shut down the street, an intersection at the end of the week. No, I'm saying that because during the week, every single conversation I had, I talked about Palestine. Every single breath I could think of, I think about Palestine. Why? Because they're being murdered. Right now, they're fighting as we speak. Guys, imagine there's bombs happening outside. Are you going to live life as normally? This is your family that's outside. Why are we taking breaks? Why are we, oh, look, today I did a lot too much. Oh, let me take a week and I'll come back after that. You know what? I'll take a vacation. Why? Gaza could have taken that money. I'm holding you all accountable. You guys have your personal excuses. They don't mean anything to me because you don't have to say them to me. On the day of judgment, you will say it to every child and every father, every senior, and every bird in Gaza. You will be confronted. You decided to have today a pizza. Meanwhile, Gaza, 1,000 people died. What did you do? The next day, tomorrow, what did you do? The past 150 days, every single second, you will be trialed for. So what did you do? Now that we're done asking this question, the people of Gaza, I've said this before in a protest before, the kids now have set up tables like this one and put water or whatever that they could find quantity of, and they set it up to earn a halal living. Why? Because conditions are tough and just their father alone going and doing that is not going to be enough to sustain the family, especially with everything rising and that. The kid, the child, the 8-year-old, the 5-year-old, 7-year-old who's supposed to be in daycare, playing with his friends, no care in the world, watching Tom and Jerry and all the stuff that we all did. We all had fun. Remember your childhood? That's all gone. That's all out the window for a long time. What they do now is they're teaching the world how to be men because there's a lack of it. And they're earning a halal living. Meanwhile, we have people here and across the world that are scared to lose their job for a Zionist because by liking a post or by sharing. Why? Because it's politics. 30,000 people, that is not politics, guys. It's a crime. It's a sin. It's a major sin that we need to be calling out. And by standing up for it, you're not being a rioter. No, you're taking the honorable path. And anyone that tries to call you out on it is the demon. They have the most non-sincere intentions to you right now. So their opinion really does not matter. And their threats, in the end, it goes nowhere because you are on the side of the truth. You are calling for the justice. You are calling for what Allah has called for. Anything that happens to you will only happen by the will of Allah. Anything that you continue, even the money that you're so scared of losing, and because of the job, right? Allah might decide, okay, don't speak up. Tomorrow, the boss is going to fire you anyways. What are you going to do then? But instead of you being rewarded, you're going to be trialed, and now you're suffering because you have you don't know where to go after that. Why? Because your priorities are all out of whack. Okay, I'm going to leave it to you guys to understand that we need to, the time for us to be scared is long gone. Every sacrifice that we do will come back to us tenfold. Every step that we make, we are getting 10 steps closer to victory, but we don't see it because there's an agenda and there's a regime that's making sure to make you feel right now that you're not doing anything, right? But we are. And it takes every single one of us, and I mean it, because the child shows that the protests are not violent. The adult protects the young, shows that the young are not there just to be rioters and stuff. No, their parents are there. Their how do I say this? Wali Amr. What's in English? Wali Amr. Their guardian, the person responsible for them, is there, right? And that the mother, same thing. The student, same thing. But the only problem is now the students are the ones that are supposed to be making the decisions, because the father has too much to lose. The son doesn't understand life enough, like the child does not understand life enough to be going somewhere. It's you guys that are standard. Whatever step you make, you're gonna set what your future and the future of Palestine is here and over there. Because if we're okay with Zionism today, why aren't you okay with it tomorrow? So either from now, from this moment, you guys decide that khalas, anything that's sin is sin, and I call it out publicly. Or guys, I hope you sleep well at night, knowing that you're gonna be confronted by every child for every moment that you are trying to be silent. Every time you made an excuse, the excuse to not come or not participate, remember you're gonna tell that excuse to the people of Gaza one day. Thank you all very much, and I think we could do a Q&A session now. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I want to keep it straightforward, simple. There's not much I could teach you because I'm not a scholar of any sort. I am a person just like all of you. I swear I did not put more time in studying into any of this. I'm not a studious person. It's all out of experience. But I'm telling you this because, guys, wallahi, time's up. Wallahi, they were so behind schedule. 30,000, 35,000 people. It's not a normal thing ever for any of us. And now it's only increasing more. And this, I swear to God, every single one of us, we pulled the trigger. And that's what traumatizes me on a daily basis, is that you funded the occupation. You funded the genocide. I funded the genocide. Right? We need to speak up. 150 days that we failed them. We need to make up for them and bring an end to this. 151 days is too much. 152 days is too much. Every day that passes by, guys, if I can't see people live life normally, because it's not fair. It's really not fair. Even here, the Palestinian man, look at my friends. Ask them what they're going through. This is not what we came to Canada for. We didn't come to Canada so we could fight everyone just for a normal to be able to speak up. But the reason we're being fought is because they think we're small. Why? Because a lot of us are scared. What are we scared of? I can't tell you. It's you guys within yourself. Because again, I don't think any excuse that you guys could bring forward right now will convince the child Shaheed that died just now. Well, no, I don't think any excuse that you say right now will fill the belly of the family that died of starvation right now. Right now, as we speak. Take these to think about, and inshallah, I think let the floor open for all questions.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I just wanted to thank the three people up here. I know them, three of them, very well, and the sacrifices that our students are making, and I know because I'm a student too, is heartbreaking that we have to go through this and the freedoms that we were promised in this country, like Barat said. And I know I'm gonna ask a question, but I just wanted really to say this because like Barat's emotion that just came out, we feel this every single day. Every single day, whether we have family in Gaza or not, it's just beyond heartbreaking. We need new words for what's happening. So always support the students. We really need your help. I just wanted to ask, I know the answer, but I want people to hear it. I want to ask, what's the kind of repression that students are facing? I know all three of you have experience in this, but what are the repressions that students are facing? And why do you think that's connected to what Barat said about us being afraid of getting fired, us being afraid and the power the Zionists are lording over us supposedly because we're enabling that. And as students, how does that affect you when you're fighting it back?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and thank you again, Zaina. I know that all three of us up here have experienced very traumatic repression from our university, from police, from security on our campuses. We've been beat, we've been pepper sprayed, we've been arrested, we've been threatened with expulsion, we've been defamed, we've been receiving death threats and other very, very violent messages online. I know personally I was at the center of a massive doxing campaign spread by the largest Israeli lobby in the country. I know some of us have been violently arrested with no jurisdiction. 2 days ago, I was pepper sprayed. For what? For standing up and shutting down an event where my fellow classmates invited Israeli soldiers onto our campus. Is that going to stop us? Saraha, I cannot imagine a single thing that could stop me as an individual. If we drop all of our classes, if we quit our jobs, if we leave Canada, we go straight to Gaza, we will not at any point encounter something that is going to be more threatening than eternity. This is a long fight. Yeah, it's a long fight. A 4-year degree seems long. Our future employment seems like a big deal. It seems like a big commitment. We're trying to set up our futures. We're trying to decide where we want to be in 10 years. Where do you want to be for eternity? That's my genuine question. I have to ask myself that every single day. Are any of us really willing to be intimidated by a teacher who tells us we failed our assignment because our entire thesis was surrounded on what's happening in Palestine? I made a professor cry last semester. I made her cry because I said to her, why is my social justice education class not allowed to talk about an ongoing genocide? Got a 99% on that final because she knew the truth. And although our universities are reaching out to our professors, our universities are contacting our professors saying, we're not allowed to talk about that. The Israeli lobby is sending the presidents of our universities to Palestine, to Israel. The universities are sending our tuition money to disenfranchise their own students. They're sending our tuition money to drop bombs and to invest in weapons companies that are tested on children. So I personally could not care less if I get a threat from the administration, and I don't think any of us here should either. At the end of the day, I've learned exponentially more from my comrades, from people just like all of you in this room. I have learned so much more in this movement. I've learned how to write constitutions and bylaws. I've learned how to publicly speak in front of a group of people. I didn't know how to do that. I learned how to direct meetings. I learned how to write a really, really strong essay. I learned how to critically, absorb media. My Arabic is getting pretty good considering I didn't speak it very well before this genocide. All of these things, all of this education that I have absorbed, I would never have gotten through an imperialist colonial education system. So yeah, we're facing repression. I know that the people next to me have also been threatened and physically and verbally attacked. But at the end of the day, that's not going to stop us, and it shouldn't stop any of you. If you guys are facing repression from your universities, reach out to us. Reach out to the Palestinian Youth Movement. Reach out to Montreal for Palestine. Reach out to the SPHR, the SDHPP you have on campus. Contact us because we, as a community, are so much stronger than Israel. As a collective, as an ummah, there is nothing that they could ever dream of that would amount for just what is in each of our individual hearts. I don't know if you guys wanted to add to that.
In terms of like the methods of repression, honestly, guys, like I didn't talk about them. I wanted to talk about them at first, but at the same time, I realized like I could go on, but again, when you're like, I don't know if any of you ever snitched before, right? But if you're ever gonna tell on someone that did something bad, right? He's gonna try to fight back, right? And he's gonna try to shut you up, and he's gonna try to find accusations against you, right? Now that's if he's guilty. If he's not guilty, he'll just say, "Do what you want. I'll take it to court and I'll win," right? A guilty person will be like, oh, you're accusing me of this, but you did that, and you did that, and you're doing this, and you're doing that. Why? Because he knows as long as you're dealing with all of these things, right? He thinks that you're khalas. You'll back away and you'll be scared. But again, guys, we're not criminals. We're not, for speaking up about Palestine, we're not doing anything wrong. I don't need to really do anything wrong. By just speaking up, we were enough to get all this repression, which means that we're on the right track, right? It's not a bad sign to be repressed. No, those are the cries of the guilty, right? And that's what we're hearing. And they really honestly, if I'll just list them to you right now. I have 3 cases actively going that we're dealing with, and I think a couple of charges are criminal. I can't say into too much details. I just got out of a school hearing where they wanted to expel me. Alhamdulillah, they gave me the decision that they consider me guilty. Well, I'm still gonna try to fight that, but in the end, they said that I could still stay in school for a little bit. But all of that does not mean anything, because for me, the mentality that I adopted starting this is that innama rizqun min Allah. All of the risk, whatever money I earn, whatever paycheck that comes to me, will only come to me because Allah willed it, whether I have a job or not, whether I have an education or not, right? If I go to school, Allah will only let me graduate because Allah willed it. If I am expelled because Allah willed it. So what I have to do during this whole journey is not cry about what's happening to me. It's just make sure I'm doing the right thing at every test. That's it. And that's our only duty. We do fail. We do make mistakes. We learn from them. We pick ourselves up. Repression is I find there's only a way that you're getting stronger and stronger, so your identity becomes ready for the bigger target. And bring it. Bring all the smoke. We want it. All right?
I agree with all of what you said, and I just want to emphasize that I do agree with one of the points that Dana said, that when I started being an activist, when you become an activist, you learn so much. If this was 2 years ago when I first started, I would have been freaking out. I don't know what to say. Now I'm confident, alhamdulillah, I can speak, and it develops so much skills. And I think, well, they say when you're doing the right thing, you have nothing to fear, and it's right. They repress us not because we're wrong. You all know that. They repress us because they want to burn us out. And this is going to sound so corny, but it's true. The more I'm tired, the more I want to fight. Because as long as I'm tired, I'm not as tired as the people on the ground in Gaza. And I owe them my life. We all owe them our souls to save them. Because they're our brothers, they're our sisters, we have obligations toward them. And this is where we should spend our energy. We should be tiring ourselves in order to save these souls and to stop the genocide from the country that we're in. And yeah.
I don't know if anyone else wanted to ask a question.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Only the people that know me are asking questions. I don't get this. You guys could have called me before coming here.
يعطيكم ألف عافية. Thank you for your presence and all what you've done already in the last 5 months. I have 2 questions. The first one is addressed to Bara. So at the beginning of their speeches, your colleagues have presented themselves. If you can a little bit talk about yourself. And I've also seen that your dad is active in all of this struggle. So I think that it's something in the family. If you can talk a little bit about this. My second question is for the 3 of us, if you want to answer. Most of the people that are here tonight are students. So they could think that it's something a little bit concerning to be implicated in activism, and at the same time to manage to have that some equilibrium. What is the word in? Okay, between studying and activism. So I want, and it could be sometimes some pressure from the parents that they want them to get good results. So from your experience, how did you manage to have this balance, or how did it affect your studying? So it's gonna be this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll start with my name is Bara Abu Hamid. I'm originally from Palestine. My dad's side, we're originally from Yafa. We got we were then migrated to Hujrna, displaced to, sorry, today my vocabulary is slow. We got displaced to Qalqilia in West Bank, and my mom's side is Hebron. I was originally born in Jordan, raised in Abu Dhabi until grade 5. I've been here since grade 5, so I'm almost 17 years, 18 years maybe, that I've been here. I'm currently an industrial engineering student at Concordia, and I've been doing the act, speaking up for Palestine, like since I remember coming here. And we had a protest the first year that we were here, and then like 4 years after that, and then almost every 2 years after that, every time the bomb fell. And eventually, like, I was part of when I joined CJEP, I became part of the MSA, which was my introduction to community organizing. It was my introduction to community organizing and like working with student activism. From there, when I went into university, I was also in the MSA Concordia, and then I transferred into the year after I went into SPHR, which made me have to focus on SPHR. I wanted to be able to make political stuff and not to conflict with the MSA. I ended up leaving the MSA to do that, and after a year of that, I just ended up 2021. We started Canada Sanctions Israel, which is what everyone knows now as Montreal for Palestine. So it's been a group of friends that we were together. Yeah, my family. I'll just they're getting there. So alhamdulillah, so basically with Canada Sanctions Israel, we were just a group of friends that speak up, and we saw that there was a gap in the protests and in the activism that's on the streets about the Palestinian cause. That's only happening every Gaza war. Every time an airstrike starts happening on Gaza, people are speaking up, whereas we have demands and thawabit as Palestinians that are for the past 75 years have been violated and getting worse and worse and worse. So we needed to start speaking up about those things and create the actions and creating disruptions within Canada to bring awareness to the Palestinian cause. That it's not just during the Gaza war that we're going to speak up. It's during the Nakba memorial we're going to speak up. It's every chance that we could get, every opportunity that we could raise a banner. Regarding my family, like you, Dana, my family is known for their activism, for their participation. Both my parents, my dad was very loud back in the days, which is one of the reasons now we're all here, and they were being persecuted and silenced for just speaking up. And it's what inspired me, because I saw that the effort that they had to go through coming into a country in a province that they don't know the first language of, a huge cultural change. My dad couldn't bury his mother when she passed away in Palestine. He barely could get to treat her while she was sick with cancer. My mom right now, she's here stressed about her father, who is very sick and he could pass away any minute. And her mother already passed away also over there, and there's a lot of restrictions, and seeing their pain, yeah, they're scared for me a lot. I'm not saying that they're encouraging me. At first, when I started CSI, they were so against it, because but you're making so much noise, you're only gonna mess up your potential. Why expose yourself now if you could become something bigger and become more impactful, right? But and that, it was it's a good fair argument. If you could build yourself and you see yourself becoming strong, don't ruin it all and just throw it all to fire because you don't want to lose it. But that's not during times where there's active violations and that genocides, right? Right now there's people are dying as we speak. So every day that I wanted to postpone it, right, I might not make it to my degree. God may take my life right before I get to my degree. So now I spent my whole life not doing a single thing for Palestine, and just trying to work for myself, and I didn't end up getting it. I'm gonna be judged about everything that I did, not everything that I'm about to do. So in every moment, the best thing for us to be working for is the cause, and mainly that. And this activism and this repression, all of you, the students, guys, like really, you're the degree is not everything that we need, especially in a corrupt place like this. They're making us believe that, bro. But half of the country does not have university degrees, and they're living in rich place. They're making us follow a standard. Yes, we could benefit off of it if we actually like go through it and all that. And there's ways that we could benefit off of it, but we will lose a lot of our dignity in the process, and it's a big price to pay for the future.
I think I remember your second question, but if you could, balancing school. I think personally, not really, because I have very good time management. Not to brag, but I have good time management. But yeah, but I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's to each his own time, his own priorities. But there's like right now, as of right now, our priority is Gaza, and I think um, we can all divide our time and still have activism in it. You know, sometimes we spend hours on the phone, right? Some people spend hours on the phone. What? Do something useful. Game, right? They, participate in the clubs in your university, in the organizations around your city. You spend a lot of like the days go like that, and you spend a lot of this time doing something useful, doing advocating for Palestine in a country that is unfortunately not pro-Palestine. So you're basically challenging the status quo in your free time. What better to ask than to do that? And as at the same time you're working towards a diploma. So I think if you could manage it right, you could make it.
Yeah, I'm not like Ali. My time management is so bad. It's so bad. I before all of this, I was a struggle. I dropped out of Cégep. I took a gap year. I had no idea what I was doing. I studied theater. I don't know where I thought I was going with that, but هلا I'm studying child development. I'm studying inclusivity and diversity in early childhood. And a lot of that, I can't help it. Every single assignment, every single reading to me is about Palestine. Every essay I write, every lecture, every single comment a classmate makes is about Palestine. And so far it hasn't, gotten me in too much trouble. I think the bigger issue here is that we are expected to attend our classes like everything's normal. My friends are being tortured in prison right now. Friends who I was out, getting coffee with 3 months ago in the West Bank. And my friends' families are being killed in front of them. And they are just like us. And I am in class listening to a professor tell me about how important it is that we learn about childhood trauma and the effects it has on kids here in Canada. And although, it's important to write our essays, it's important to get good grades, I do want to restate that I have never learned so much in such a short period of time as I have through organizing for Palestine in the past 5 months. Nothing I ever learned in school was so applicable as the skills I've learned through organizing. And we learn from emotion. I'm gonna state something I've been learning in my education classes. We learn when something impacts our emotions. When something triggers a reaction within us, we remember it. It affects how we behave in the future. When I see something about Palestine and I use that in my education, I am learning so much better than I ever have when I'm not connected to what I do. If I can see myself in my readings and my lectures and my exams, I can do a better job in my classes. But beyond that, I mean, like Barat was saying, I think a lot of our parents, they say to us, Khalas, like, give it some time. Make yourself established. Get your degree, get some money. Once you're there, once you're safe, once you're protected, you have a good safety net, then you can talk about Palestine, then you can be an advocate. I would argue that you are never going to have enough resources. You are never going to be in a good enough position. If you can be in Congress in the US, of all places, and be shut down in the blink of an eye, none of us here are ever going to have the possibility to get to that level and make a change before another however many children are dead. It's not about establishing yourself. It's not about getting that degree. It's about utilizing what you have and using that to learn more. I think obviously we got to get our degrees if our parents are telling us that's what we need to do. Respect your parents. But at the end of the day, for me, the other thing is that being an SPHR, we're suffering together. I think there's so many nights that Ali, Anna, and all the other members of our team have been in the library until well past midnight with Red Bulls, and just none of us can see clearly. And we're getting our work done together because we have the same goals. Once you find that community, you know, it's really going to make a massive difference. And, you know, I think it's also very important for all of the students here to not be afraid that you may burn out at some point. But as long as you have enough people around you who are still pushing, you can take that break, you can come back. Just, you know, keep your dignity, keep your humanity. Remember what your long-term goals are.
I wanted to just add a quick small thing to my previous answer because I didn't answer that. But like, guys, I mentioned it before. It's like in your environments that our activism takes place. Everywhere that you are, if you carry the identity of Palestine, right, that's activism in its own. You speak up about it. Everything that you do, everything like she's going to class, she's studying, she makes it Palestine related. It's exactly what we're trying to do, what we're trying to reach. Now I'm industrial engineering kind of thing where you can't really write essays about Palestine and everything, but even that knowledge can benefit in a way of building other civilization industry. So like, I'm not discrediting in any way or shape or form our education that we're all pursuing. Please, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. What I'm discrediting is the fact and the myth that I have to finish ASAP because I can't do anything until it's done. But then right after that, you're gonna say, "Oh, I can't do anything until I'm married," and then after you're gonna say, "I can't do anything until my child is born. I can't do anything until I buy the house. I can't do anything," and then the excuses will not stop, right? So what has to stay consistent is our values, right, and our morals, right? What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. We're doing the honorable thing. Someone wants to fight us about it for the sake of my future, right, and for the sake of the future of my parents and my future kids here. I need to stand up and call out the evil that's being promoted in this country before it gets to us here, right? Because if Canada, your prime minister, thinks that 35,000 people, innocent civilians, is collateral damage, what's gonna happen when we're attacked here? All right, let's think about it that way. 35,000 people is collateral damage. Okay, are you sure you could protect Canada, my guy? Are you sure? Like 35,000 people, you could wipe out Brassard in one shot. It's not. It's not a normal thing. These numbers are huge, and they're not numbers that they're making it like as ridiculous as a normal part of a war. No, 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 no. This is a crime that we're all committing. We stand up for it now, or pay the price tomorrow. What do you guys want? You want to pay the price, or we want your children to go through what we're going through now? Because our parents did not want that for us, but here we are. So either we go back to compromising and ignoring and putting our head down and talking, or look, if I know I'm speaking up about what's right. Anything I lose, bring it. Like, it's not meant to be, because in the end I'm doing the right thing, and nothing else can change that. If you make a mistake, recognize it. If you learn, it's a learning curve, obviously, but the step has to be taken somewhere. And don't be scared of mistakes. Don't be scared to fail the class. Don't be scared to do this. These are all myths. You're gonna get a job in the end regardless, wherever you are. The more united as a community we are, the less those degrees become important, or like the reputation or your history. So don't count on these evil people. Drop all that stuff. I don't mind. Start building together with your community, fighting for your cause. Put yourself in an SPHR, put yourself in an MSA, put yourself in a like a small group together where you meet every week and you do halaqas or something to talk about Palestine. From there, grow, and from there, study together, from there, work together and build it. You don't have those friends, find them in the group, in the environment that you are in every day. Make those friends about Palestine and start from there. You can't leave that environment because it's toxic, man. Because you can't be sitting around people who are pretending like there's no genocide out there. Tamam?
I noticed that even before October 7, one of the huge or biggest Zionist tactics is that they try to make this a religious war rather than it's like spiritual. Me, I tried to reach out to 6 or 7 churches actually because I have a lot of community with Christian friends, and some of them were. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, sorry. So I was saying that the biggest Zionist tactic that I noticed is that they're trying to make this Muslim versus Christian or Jewish war. That's why a lot of the people in my community or my friends group are Christians, and half of them they weren't even educated about this cause. They're like, oh, بس هي كانت أرضهم وشابوها, and then this that, and then when I tried to do my best to educate them and everything, they actually now are different and their whole like their mentality changed and everything. So I'm like, okay, I tried to even reach out to those churches and speak with their priests. I'm like, can we hold like one of these meetings there? And some of them were like, okay, can you bring people like our official, like me, because I was just alone, like one person. And that's why I wanted to ask you, like, with all due respect, thank you for this amazing today. I'm really happy to be here. And I wanted to ask if are you guys planning to maybe have more of these meetings at a church or somewhere that I feel like if we're not just like one community, like let's say Muslim or Arabs, or there's this really I feel like if collective communities, like more Jewish, Christian, because I know I saw a video of a Jewish woman who was just attacked just in Montreal just a couple of days ago. She was saying, oh, this is a genocide and ethnic, but she was alone. So that's why people don't know about this. Something like that. So I'm thinking, and I passed by this Jewish place. It's like a pizza place. And even I went with this one, and people just looked at me, and some of them they went like this, and half of them they were Jewish. I'm like, oh, okay, shalom. So I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding even from within our community, like, oh, Yahud, la تروحوا جنبهم, So I'm like, can we maybe bring these collective communities together? And now that we're not just Muslims, we're going against this mainstream narrative, like, oh, it's just the Muslims against the Jews, and I feel like that's really not what it is.
It's not. It's really not. You're saying like you said. It's not a religious war, but we can't deny that our religion is giving us a lot of our duty towards stopping this war. Right? We have we have our conscience that we cannot, our religious conscience that we cannot ignore just because I don't want it to make it a Jew versus Muslim thing. Right? No, it's a Muslim thing. My religion as a Muslim recognizes that all evil is bad. If you kill a soul, that means it's the equivalent of like killing all of mankind. If you save a soul, it's like saving all of mankind, right? That's in our religion. The Masjid al-Aqsa is ula al-Qiblatayn. That's in our religion, right? So all of this is, if we hold any respect for our religion, that's enough for making it a religious war against the enemy of God, right? Because they're not representing any religion, because we have representatives of the religion that are telling us, IJV are telling us, or people of those saying that the religion, that God does not call for the murder of innocents. God does not call for the theft of land. God does not call for the corruption and the oppression of poor people or like children and all those things, right? So from there, once we recognize what our religion is, then we're able to have the respect and be able to open the dialogues. Because what I don't want to see is a bunch of people who push their identities aside in order to work together. That's not a successful thing, because at some point in time, your differences are going to come out and it's going to hurt you. Whereas if you know what your standards are, your thawabit, right? So like what you stand for, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and based on that, you build relations with all the other communities. Not saying that I don't want to work with you because you disagree with the Sawabit, but for the time that we work with each other, these things are going to be respected, or we avoid the disagreement to address until a further time. But at least the disagreement, are we're aware of it. It's not a surprise or something that's going to come up randomly in the future. But we do have the communities uniting. But we still do have the communities aligning, and we do have members of that. We just need to reach out to as much community centers as possible. There is a lot of sensitivity still. If you do know mosques or like synagogues or churches that are one, because even the mosques are not accepting it.
I'm trying to say that there's active Jews who are against it. They're saying, like, our religion, we want to be with you and stand with your group against it, and we are voting for Palestine.
100%. And I'm saying, yeah, before letting people into your team, stand, identify your values, identify what you're describing, and from there, people will respect you and will join you. By yourself, like you don't. We've seen a lot of how. I'll give it to you right after. We've seen a lot of a lot of like how people will do that, and it is part of our plan in general. Like I'm saying, but we're right now we're in a phase where we're establishing ourselves in Montreal for Palestine. A lot of the mosques here are scared to talk about Palestine and stuff, right? So let alone the churches and let alone the synagogues. Like it's a step that's in the works and in that, and we are researching about it. But like for it to be actually done, as Montreal for Palestine, that is. But in regards to like I'm telling you about the philosophy and the mentality of working with other religions, and I wanted to correct the fact that like all people they're making it seem like a religious war. I wanted like
There's some people who understand that all the Muslims on the red path and the Jews are on the wrong path. We know that as Muslims, that's the truth. But for them, some people would see that, at least let all the Christians and Muslims and all of the Jews be on the good versus the evil. That way we can use this smart tactic as making them come on our side. And at the end, like we know our truth. We know like this is bound to happen.
but the Jews, we don't see the Jews as others now, like in already, like it's not, there's no, that separation is not there. They're already with us, they're already within our like action groups, and like the most and the Christians too. We have Palestinian Christians within us too. No, you converted. You converted. You reverted. But like I'm saying, like in terms of like religious and that's not what divides us. That's not where the line is being drawn. That that's a philosophy. There's a philosophy and there's a standard, and that's what I'm talking about regarding the surprises and everything. Because when you know what you stand for, when you're public about what your values are and what your identity is, you're gonna attract likewise, right? So, and it's naturally like, wallah, you're gonna get khas, give it to me.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm shaking to answer this question. Okay. My whole family is very, very Christian in Palestine. Like my grandfather was a priest. All my uncles are priests. I got an uncle who's a bishop. They're very invested. We also know that there are Palestinian Jews. If you were a Jew in Palestine before Israel was established, you are Palestinian. If you are not a settler, you are Palestinian. If you are suffering from colonialism as an indigenous person, you're Palestinian. And I think there's a lot of danger in making this, let's unite the religious groups, because at the end of the day, it's nothing to do with that. It's about indigenous people's relationship to imperialism and settler colonialism. Right now, we have two people. We have the indigenous people who should be at the front of the movement, and that includes Jews and Christians and Muslims. Palestinian people as a collective, as indigenous people, are leading the movement. And then you have allies, regardless of whether they're Christian, regardless of whether they're Jewish, regardless of whether they're Muslim, just not from Palestine. Those are the two groups who should be leading. And it shouldn't be a question of, the Jews and the Christians are joining the Muslims for the Palestinian cause. It should be that the Palestinians are leading the people who are against settler colonialism towards collective liberation. So in a sense, like I understand that the West has really made religious institutions separate from indigeneity and separate from colonialism, in the sense that like they put the identity of religion before the identity of, you know, your heritage. But really falling into that and trying to collaborate with institutions as it is not at all productive for the Palestinian cause. Personally, I don't think that there's much to be gained from having an institution that supports you. But there is a whole lot to be gained from gathering the power of the people who stand against an ideology. So in that sense, yeah, there's a ton of churches who have been corrupted by imperialist and colonial views. And there's a ton of churches who are directly contributing to this. I mean, look at what the church did to Canada's Indigenous population. Look at what they did through residential schools and genocide here. The colonial playbook is not very creative. We see the same practices everywhere. So there is also a question of, do we want to be normalizing with an institution that historically is complicit in these things? We don't want to be, you know, sharing a space and collaborating and having a conference with a church that has not cleared its record with the Indigenous people on the land it exists in already. What we do want is we do want to be collaborating with individuals who have politics that, you know, base themselves in collective liberation. I do think, like, as a revert, I grew up with a lot of, and I'm still experiencing this, you know, pressure from my family in the sense that, like, you know, you shouldn't make this about religion, or you should make this about religion depending on the circumstance. At the end of the day, the people of the book all believe the same thing. Murder is a sin. I don't have to explain that. I don't have to explain that coveting what someone else has is a sin. I don't have to explain that theft is a sin. When you start looking at institutions and, you know, I don't want to say companies, but in a sense, you know, the church as it is in the West is an economic institution, you lose connection with the book itself. So yeah, I think our responsibility as Palestinians, I mean, Bara'u we're Palestinians, we can say for a fact that our job is not to be doing outreach and, you know, putting all their energy into bringing people. If they are with our cause, it's very, very easy to access that information, and they should come to us. If a church wants to know more, reach out. Khalas, you have M4P, PYM, you have your SPHRs, you have members within your communities who are very educated on these politics. So it's not our responsibility to be necessarily contacting them. The same with, like, Masjid in Montreal. If they're not actively reaching out and trying to integrate decolonial practices into how they operate, then as Palestinians, we will continue to operate in decolonial ways outside of their institutions, outside of their context. I hope that answered your question. I don't know if you wanted to. Oh.
You have to, like, hide. I feel like it's a recipe for disaster. So
Yeah.
definitely 100% agree. Like, more individuals is better than collective.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we just need to avoid this kind of putting people in the boxes of religion and really focus on it from a settler colonial versus indigenous perspective. That's religion will acknowledge that in and of itself. Do we have any other questions?
Assalamu alaikum. The question is to whoever want to answer. What's your opinion on donating money right now, especially in the genocide? Because a lot of persons, like we here, for example, the money will not directly help because it has to go through the border, for example, or exclose whatever. So what's your opinion on?
There is registered organizations that you could send through, like Hands for Charity or stuff like that, and the money does go through and it does arrive, and they're registered in Canada, and they're trusted people, that individuals here that we know them. I strongly recommend it. If you know people that you trust on the inside, look, it's complicated, but I do, like, there is families that do campaigns and do stuff like that. So I'm not telling you to ignore them at all. Please, like, try to but just make sure that you know who you're dealing with, because there are a lot of scammers out there, and there is a lot of like restrictions out there that, like, don't make it really, like, they make it really difficult to get those stuff inside. Like, I know Zaina, you could probably comment a lot more about this than I can, but in terms of, like, the amana, for the amana aspect, like, just take the trusted path. If you don't know anyone, go through registered organizations like Hands for Charity. I strongly recommend them. They have good campaigns that for the people for Gaza. They get money in, and we've been using them in our protests. They've been collecting thousands and thousands per protest, alhamdulillah, and it's all going straight there. So if regarding the everything else, GoFundMe at any point in time can decide to seize the money until like it does an investigation, and we don't know how they release that. Personal like e-transfers, you don't suddenly the CRA could decide to audit you, and like if one person you send it to somehow they could prove that had any affiliation with resistance, that comes back to you. If there's also Western Union and all those things, restrictions left and right, you could probably use it once, twice, the third time you somehow it doesn't work anymore, and you'll be going around asking anyone knows how to bring money in, anyone knows how to bring money in. So the safest way on the table right now is registered organizations, and only in emergencies and for people like for the families of our friends, and like because we have friends here from Gaza, to help their families get out and help to support them through them, if and help them out to get the money there, protect them, give them a hand as much as they can.
So yeah, it's been very complicated. I have like so much family in Gaza. If I understand where your question comes from, and it was a long journey to understand how to get money to them. So other than registered organizations, of course, and they're very little to trust. Yani Hands for Charity, I don't know, but they don't deal with it a lot. So it's good, and as long as there's proof, you know. But what I was gonna say is that Gaza is very complicated right now with money because there's no banks functioning, right? So the organizations have to like have material that they collaborate with governments. They have to be registered with governments, and they get that through approval from the occupation and from Egypt. So it's a very complicated process. But if you have family members in Gaza or like family friends, what they do in Gaza, it's so bad, everybody. Like the economic state is unspeakable. People are selling their gold to gift, like they're giving people their gold. Like let's say I'm having like I have 2 bracelets and I want like 1 bag of flour. I'll give somebody who has a bag of flour the gold because that person knows that they're gonna leave to Egypt. They take your gold with them and you're left with the bag of flour because cash lost its values. There's no ATMs and there's no functioning banks. So if you don't have gold or anything to exchange with, you're starving. Because the people of Gaza, yes, they'll be generous with you. They'll try to bring you as much as you can, but it's survival mode right now. I know families fighting over a bag of flour, and this is normal. And this is why when he said, when you go eat your pizza, think about these people, because they're exchanging their gold for a bag of flour. Has that really happened before in Gaza? No. غزة كانوا معززين ومكرمين وكان عندهم أكل وشرب وطلعوا مقاهي وكل شيء, but now they don't. So either it's gold, and if you send the Western Union, there's no Western Union. And if somebody has a bank account in Gaza, they're not going to take out the cash, they're going to keep it. Take their gold, but then they'll go and buy gold later when they can cash out that money you sent to their bank. So that's what's going on. I just wanted to make that clear because a lot of people ask me this question and I think it's very beneficial. So don't say, how are they going to get the cash? They're obviously not going to get the cash. So it's an exchange system in Gaza.
السلام عليكم. فيصل من الجزائر، عايش مدة في كندا مدة 24. ألو، حاب أوجه لك سؤال الأخ أبو حامد على الشعارات اللي تحملوها بالمسيرة. أنا بتذكر شي 3 أسابيع كنا بالمسيرة بسكوير فيكتوريا، وإجاو نواب ومسؤولين سابقين من الدولة هنا على مستوى الكيبك حتى يمشوا معنا بالمسيرة، لكن عما سمعوا شعارات غير مناسبة بالمسيرة اللي هي ما تحرج بعض الأحيان غيرنا، فطلعوا من المسيرة. فهم وهي النداءات اللي تنادوها تكبيرات في المسيرة، ما أنا بتصور ما تناسب هذا الجو اللي احنا اللي عايشين به. أنا أرجو يعني نداء حتى ما تتكرر هذا الأخطاء اللي عم نضيع بعض الناس عم يساعدونا بالمسيرات.
ايش اللي غير لائق بالتكبير؟
شو
اللي غير لائق؟ الله اكبر، شو اللي غير لائق فيه؟
هذا تكبيرات حتى كانوا موجودين حتى بايام الربيع العربي بداعش وغير داعش والقاعده وافغانستان، سمعناها بعده اماكن. يعني الناس
والصلاه والاذان والذكر والاذكار الصباح
على مستوانا نحن،
وبعد الدعاء
على مستوى نحن، على مستوى المسجد، على مستوى الباك. ممكن دولنا بس هنا بهذا البلد يعني انا بقول لك شيء، حضروا ناس في المسيره بس سمعوا تكبيرات طلعوا من المسيره. ليش بدنا نضيع هذه الناس؟ يعني ضروري نحن نقول الله اكبر. شو نحن شو يعني نحن
ما حدش جابر يحكي معنا الله اكبر، بس في نفس الوقت الاسلاموفوبيا هو اللي بيخلي
في عندنا يهود ارثوذكس وفي عندنا مسيحيين وفي وكل واحد بيطلع شعاراته الخاصه بدينه او معتقده. يعني ما غير لائقه صراحه.
لما نعمل فيجيل avec with lighting candles which is a Christian ritual، المسلمين يجوا يحضروا، هذا ما في مانع، بس انه المسلمين يقعدوا يحكوا تكبير اللي قالنا بغزة لما يجي عليهم صاروخ يحكي الله اكبر من الصاروخ، الله اكبر من العدو، الله اكبر من على كل شيء. when we're celebrating بنحكي الله اكبر. اي واحد مسلم مسيحي او يهودي لو اذا رحت واجهته حكيت له ربك اكبر من الظالم، راح يحكي لك صح. طب شو الغلط؟
بس
الغلط انه في اسلاموفوبيا اتبرمج في كل اجسادنا احنا المسلمين، مش المسيحيين ولا اليهود. عشان ما سمعتش المسيحيين واليهود من بدايه اكتوبر 7 بيشكوا عن هذا الموضوع، بس سمعت المسلمين. ففي اسلاموفوبيا تبرمج فينا، صرنا خايفين انه نحكي ونوجه زي ما حكينا الايدنتيتي تبعتنا نكون فخورين فيها. في اشياء فايلنت ندرسها، بنحكي بنشوف اذا وقتها ولا لا، فاهمك. اما الهتافات العربيه مثلا والامور اللي بيهتفوها في بلادنا ما في مش كلها لازم تنهتف، مش كلها وقتها. اما الهتافات الدينيه ومسيحيه او يهوديه، احنا في صراعنا هذا زي ما حكت اختنا انه بتورجي انه هو صراع ضد الاسلام وضد الهدول، فمعناته انه هم في ناس هون مقتنعين انه المسلمين ناس سيئين. انت ما عشانك مسلم انت مثل ارهابي، مثل داعش، مثل هدول كلهم انت عشانك حكيت الله اكبر. ليش؟ عشان الميديا présente الله اكبر seulement quand les terroristes fait le bombe et tout. Mais en vérité on dit Allah Akbar comme 50 fois par jour minimum, 100 fois par jour minimum. So c'est pas quelque chose, it's not something that's bad, it's not something that's evil, it's not something that's wrong in any way. It's a statement that God is greater from our enemy, so I have nothing to be afraid of regardless what the size of my enemy is. God is greater, so if I keep doing good and I keep on the side of God, I have like everything good is coming for me, and everything inshallah success and my life in the dunya and akhirah will be good. That goes for every religion naturally, and people who don't believe in God in the end, they understand that like we're fighting racism by doing this. We're fighting the stereotypes that are being set against the Muslims, being set against the Jews, being set against the Christians to divide us, whereas we're supposed to be united in our disagreement against sin. We're supposed to be united in anything that disrespects God, anything that disrespects his book, anything that disrespects like the values that we're supposed to have, the Muslim values, or any values that we're supposed to have as human beings. We need to be able to call that out and not focus about whether we pray or not in public, or whether we say takbir or not in public. We're not like those. That's actually part of the fight, because Israel is Islamophobic. Canada has Islamophobia in it, and confronting it by being able to open about it, and like the person who doesn't know Allahu Akbar is, they all survived at the end of the protest. So I think it's a learning curve.
محمد، المسألة دي ما بتخص كل الناس يمشوا معنا بالمسيرات، هذه بتخص فئة معينة بالمسيرات. في عندك
احنا واقفين على حقوق الإنسان، احنا واقفين لحقوق الإنسان.
هذا فيه ناس مسيحيين، فيه ناس ملحدين، فيه ناس في كل من كل الاصناف. فما هذه الشعارات ما يعني الهتافات ما
هذا شعار
بتناسب
غزة.
يعني بكل صراحه.
هذا
لو
هذا
لو
هتاف غزة.
فلسطين تحكي باي دوله مثلا عربيه ممكن، بس هنا ما تناسب. احنا هذه مش اول مسيره ولا هذا انا من 2002 من 2000 ولا لليوم ما سمعت شعارات الا معكم انتم في هذا اواخر يعني باواخر حروب غزه، مع انه يكونوا بعض من الطلبه ومش كلهم.
عادي.
فهذه صراحه ما تناسب.
انا سامعك. انا
بس لحظه خليني بس اكمل. انت بس تشوف بعض النواب يطلعوا مسيره عندك عادي يعني.
انا مشكلتي مع النواب مشكلتي مع النواب
الناس
انه مش عم خاطروا
الناس عم يدعموا، الناس اجوا يدعموا القضيه
بس مش عم جاي يدعم القضيه. اذا اوريدي خايف، اول ما حكيت الله اكبر خاف من القضيه. شايف اول ما دخل الدين على الموضوع خاف من القضيه. معناته انه هذا النائب il est pas capable de regarder une situation dans une méthode rationnelle pour voir, ok, est-ce que ça c'est vraiment quelque chose de violent de dire Allahu Akbar? Ça veut dire quoi Allahu Akbar? Allah est plus grand. Allah est plus grand. C'est pas moi qui je suis plus grand. Non, Allah est plus grand. C'est pas quelque chose de violent. C'est pas comme je suis en train de dire Khaybar ou le maut le kaza ou kaza. Non. Qu'est-ce que j'ai en train de dire? C'est une praise, dhikr, ajr. For any religion, ça contradicte pas personne should be offended by this. The only person that should be, every person that was offended by the statement of Allahu Akbar and walked away from the protest is because they have part of the problem within them. And that's all I think about. Because if you are willing to judge based on stereotypes, this is why we're here to begin with.
كمان في سؤال ثاني على الشعارات اللي تحملوها عم هتافات. بتحكوا كتير انجليزي بالمسيرات، ونحن بالمسيره في عندنا فرنسيين، ونحن موجودين على مستوى منطقه اغلبيتها فرنسيه، فيحبذ حتى لو تكون حتى الشعارات تكون منصفه بين الفرنسيين والانجليزيين.
C'est Trudeau qui paye pour les bombes, c'est Trudeau, c'est le bureau fédéral qui est responsable pour les relations internationales. Quand Legault ici a aussi décidé de faire des relations avec Israël, on a aussi fait des slogans contre Legault, puis on a fait en français. Puis pendant chaque manif, on essaye le plus possible de faire le plus de slogans possible de français, mais on va aussi on va être capable de faire comme to have everyone understand the chants and everything. So we have a lot of English because also the news and the majority of the world is presenting in English. I mean, I understand that you don't you don't want to finish let me finish the answer before asking the next question. So I really hope you take some time to consider point by point what I'm saying. And it's not a show what we're trying to do. We're calling for an end to this whole sham that we're living. If all of these unnecessary stresses and stuff, wallahi, I know the history that you've seen here must have gotten you to the point where you should be scared of Allahu Akbar. But that is the problem. That's exactly what we need to fight. We don't need to hide. There's nothing that we're not criminals. We're not evil. Like I said, we're here to do the honorable thing. And so every step of what I'm doing is honorable, respected, and represents the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza. There's Muslims in Palestine, there's Masihiyin in Palestine, there's Yahud in Palestine, and you hear them all in the chants. Just be open-minded and don't focus about the one small thing, because trust me guys, every time I've heard the complaint of Allahu Akbar, it was from a Muslim. Every time.
بس كنت أرد عن اللي انحكى عن موضوع الله أكبر. أنا بالنسبة لي كمسلمة وكفلسطينية، إذا أنا مضطرة إني أخسر نائب أو نائبين كرمال أنا ما أحكي كلمة الله أكبر اللي هي God is great وما فيها ولا أي مشكلة، حتى لو في ملحدين، حتى لو في مسيحية، حتى لو في يهود، مين ما كان يكون، أنا بالنسبة لي إني أحكي هاي الكلمة فهي كلمة عظيمة وما بشوف فيها أي ضرر. وإذا أنا مضطرة إني أخسر هدول النائبين، والله أنا بدل هدول النائبين بيجوني 20 واحد بدعموني وبيوقفوا معاي، وإحنا بآخر اليوم كلنا أمة. وأنا بالنسبة إلي هو إشي كتير مهم إنه الواحد ما يخاف ولا يفكر إنه أنا والله ممنوع أحكي كلمة الله أكبر، لأنه الويسترن وورلد حاولوا إنهم يبينوا هاي الكلمة كهي إشي غلط، وهي مش إشي غلط، وهي بترجم ل God is great. فإذا أي واحد عنده مشكلة بإنه تنحكى هاي الكلمة، أنا بالنسبة إلي ما فيها أي مشكلة، وهذا يعني مع كل احترامي غلط إنه الواحد يطلع عليها بهاي الطريقة، لأنه هم بيحبوا يطلعوا عليها من ناحية إنه الله أكبر فهي كلمة بتخوف، أو لا هو تكبير وما بحس فيها أي مشكلة. And for the people who don't understand Arabic, I apologize. What I was saying is, in my opinion, if I will lose two important people, let's say, because I'm saying the word God is great, which is Allahu Akbar, and they think that I am in the wrong for saying this word, or they are afraid of saying this word, instead of these two people, I will gain 20, 30, 40 more people who will support me and who will be behind me and just pushing me forward, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with this word. This sentence, there is absolutely nothing wrong. This sentence is, people look at it in a way that it is wrong sometimes, or in a scary way, because the Western world has decided that when you say Allahu Akbar, terrorism, whatever it is, and it's not. This is a part of our religion as Muslims, and even for Christians and Jewish people, God is great. And to me, I think that is just you praising your God, which you should do, because at the end of the day, He is the one that has protected the people in Gaza. He is the one that has provided them with alhamdulillah, they have little, but He is the one who has been protecting them and everything. So in my opinion, if I were to lose a couple of people for this, I know for a fact so many other people will come and join, and I don't see this as a problem, and I don't think that we should be afraid of saying these sentences, or إنه نورجي الإسلام ما بحس فيه أي شيء غلط. I think we should embrace it, and I think we should show the world how beautiful of a sentence this is, instead of being afraid to say it, instead of thinking, oh, when I say Allahu Akbar, I'm gonna be seen as a terrorist. No, we need to change the narrative. We need the people to know that this is a beautiful sentence, and I'm just praising my God. Absolutely nothing wrong with it, and that's my opinion on it, with all due respect.
I'd just like to add two small things, very small things. The first thing is, if we don't start by fighting the root of the cause, then we can't fight. It's going to come back, as he said. And I think I've seen ناس ملحدين بعرفهم ملحدين عم بيقولوا الله أكبر بالمظاهر، وأنا بس شوف هيك شيء والله الله والنبي معهم له نائبان ومش مهم. And we got to that point لأنه نحن بلشنا نقول الله أكبر, it became normal in the minds of so many people because we started doing it. If we hadn't started doing it, they would not have said Allahu Akbar. And the second point, بس منشان قصة الفرنسي, نحن من يومين بس كنا عم نتظاهر عشان the illegal sale of settlements للناس for ليبيعوا settlements بالوest bank. They handed out injunctions. The injunctions were not in French, they were in English, and we're in Quebec. So I think this, so yeah.
شكرا.
The people, I feel like if we could bring it back to the mainly topics about the youth, anyone that has questions regarding Montreal, because we have like, I don't want to take away from everyone's time, like also it could go on for a long time. Montreal for Palestine, you guys could reach out to me directly at Ahlillbait for Palestine, or after this thing. If we could keep questions regarding helping the youth, taking steps or challenges that the youth are facing right now in order to step forward. That I would prefer those questions be related to that for everyone, so we could all answer the panel all together. I think that's and like just one more thing in general, guys, like, you know, there's nothing for us to be ashamed of. There's nothing for us to hide, as long as we're not doing anything evil. We're not calling for evil. We're not making our cause about Muslims only by saying religious things and that. No, we're being inclusive to all requirements of all people within our protest as much as we can. So when we have a majority of Muslims that will have to leave the protest at a certain time because they're praying, I think they need to pray. I think the priority is that we have to pray at the protest more than the 3 people that will leave because they saw a prayer. Also, if I know that the takbir itself is like, I get the controversial behind it. There was back in the day, the media used to manipulate the news a lot The moment in one protest a takbir or a Muslim person would speak, it would be focused about that. The whole cause would be ignored, and it would be just okay. There's a Muslim pro-Hamas leader. He's saying Allahu Akbar in Arabic, and it's intimidating. Is it criminal? Is it criminal? Is it criminal? It's not. It's not an act criminal. It's an act of love. It's an act of unity. Why? Because we're speaking up about what's right, and it's uniting us together. And it's Gaza's call. Gaza coming from under the rubble. They're saying Allahu Akbar because they know their survival is thanks to Allah. All they have is Allah. So we got, at least if we want to stand up for them, we got to at least respect the God that's protecting them and us, inshallah.
أنا رح أحكي بالعربي بس حابة أقول شغلتين. بالنسبة للفرنسي معلش بدكم تسامحوني بس أنا رح أرجع للموضوع. نحن هون بمونريال بكيبيك بالنسبة للناس الموجودين السكان الأصليين هيدي لغتهم الأساسية وبتعني لهم كتير. فأنه نقول ترودو هو المسؤول ما بعتقد هيدا هو الجواب المناسب على الموضوع. هيدا الشيء منلاحظه بتحطوا أشياء بالفرنسي بس بنفس الوقت الأغلب الأمور اللي بتنقال بالإنجليش وهيدي بتصور ملاحظة كتير مهمة لازم تتاخد بعين الاعتبار. مش بس الأخ هو اللي بقول أنا بسمعها من كتير أشخاص يعني ليش ما عم يحكوا فرنسي كتير. فهون نحن بهالبلد بهالمنطقة كتير مهمة عند الناس وممكن الشغلة يعني ليش لا إذا فينا نكسب الناس من وراء هالموضوع ليش لا ما
أنا didn't say no against we're against
أنا عم
speaking in
قلكم
French
بس
at all.
بهدف إنه
العكس
فيكم
we're there.
تزيدوا شوي أكتر فرنسي. That's
100%. But we also have
something
to
to take
recognize
in
our audience.
consideration.
We have to recognize our audience. Half of their audience is
ترودو بيفهم English
audience, the members of the protesters of the protest itself. A lot of them, yes, there is a lot of French speakers, and that's why we're pushing a lot of including French speeches all the time. We're supposed to have French chants all the time and that. But again, you guys you can't forget that a lot of the Palestinians, a lot of stuff are still in the process of learning French. And like we're not against the participation or the use of the French language at all.
Yeah.
We're trying to balance as much as possible. But given the guests and given the stuff, a lot of the time people just spot a single imbalancement and they complain about it. I feel like there are bigger things to complain about, like the government itself not responding to us, the fact that
okay, but don't take it as complaints. Take it something.
The French. I'm just saying it because in a way, no, I want people to see. Okay, look, I'm gonna take it away from the language barrier, guys. All right. When you hear the news happening, Bara Abu Hamid in Laval, right? What did you guys think? When you saw Bara Abu Hamid in Laval, Bara Abu Hamid, what did you think? What did you guys think of Bara? What the Montreal for Palestine did in Laval? What did you guys think? Just in general, I'll get to the point. Did you guys think?
In Carrefour?
No, you guys took it too far. None of you thought that. Some people did. You could be honest with me. Can you? There are a lot of you think that. Yeah, it's normal. Now, what was your reaction? Criticize, stop attending the protests? No, that we go out united, and I'm not saying that what I did was right, but at the same time there was a beautiful gesture after the arrest was everyone showed up to stand up for a member of their community to protect him and because even though maybe he took it a bit far allegedly, I don't know because I'm still dealing with the case, right? They say allegedly he took it too far. We're going to protect that person because it's a community and it's a person that's representing a lot of our voices and everything. And I thank the community that came out to protect me on a daily basis. But this applies to every stage of this activist period, guys. We're in the phase of war, right? We're seeing the other side bring international war criminals and swear at us, say the most nasty and racist things I've ever heard, right? And Sija will still pull out a statement on 3 Instagram posts and news and everything saying that, people were protesting against Judaism, against this and against that, even though they know it's a lie and we know it's a lie. but what they stood up to defend the values that they know are important. Ehna, the moment any inconvenience happens, but then I told you, man, I told you, Dana, why don't you guys fix this and why don't you guys improve this and why don't you guys this? Are you pointing fingers and we're improving that in a critical way? And we become very critical of it, and it ends up a lot of people leaving the protest and a lot of people, members of the protest, the moment we start the prayer, left. The moment we start the takbir, left. And I see a lot of them, and I've heard from a lot of them. But the consistency that we've had since showed that it's breaking the ice and people are becoming more united, alhamdulillah. A lot of mosques, a lot of marakis, a lot of other stuff are braver now and are able to stand up because of the work that we're doing, and because there has been members and leaders of our community saying, wait, you can't be doing this to our people. You can't be doing this to our kids, our youth, our families. No, they're allowed to chant. They're allowed to speak up. They're allowed to protest. They're allowed to say Allahu Akbar. They're allowed to do that. It's our right. That's what we came here for. Exactly what we came here for. La liberté d'expression, all these libertés that they promised us. So either we let ourselves practice it and protect it, or we start compromising, like I said, and tomorrow we're gonna pay the price. Like a lot of us are Muslim. The hijabis are paying the price already for it now. We've seen the religious symbol. Either we stand up for it now, we know what our values are, we show that we're not the evil that they're making us look like, or we're just gonna keep complaining, guys.
First, thank you for being here and educating us. You really make us proud, all of you. My question is, what would you say about people that just, like, even if they're from our community or not, that just tell us, oh, protests, it's useless, boycotts are useless, our tax money is going to Israel anyway, so like, if I don't buy a coffee from Starbucks, someone's gonna buy two, so like my impact doesn't matter. So what advice would you give to like these people, or like to us, for example, that have friends that don't post or anything because they don't want to get political, they're scared, they think it's useless, like whatever they're gonna do, like a post is useless, for example?
I like this question. The boycott part is, nowadays the statistics are coming out right now that it's very easy to counter. The statistics, Starbucks, McDonald's are losing so much. And people who say, okay, I'll boycott, I won't boycott because, you know, it's useless. And then they buy Starbucks $6 coffee day after day. In 10 days, they made $60. 10 days. We've been going for 150 days. You can imagine how much money they made because this person said, I don't want to boycott because it's useless, apparently. But now we have the statistics. It's very easy to counter. For the protest part, it's not useless because as Barat said, week in, week out, we've had the consistency of numbers. People are still showing up. Last week's protest was huge. We should show our complicit government and our complicit institutions that there are tens of thousands of people ready to mobilize, and as long as this happened, week in, week out, we're ready to go on the ground. No matter what happens, we're ready to call you out. We're ready to fight against you. And I think this is very important. And the protests it's arguably the symbolic part of this fight, but it's still beyond that, because if we don't protest, you know, what are we doing to the people in Gaza? How each one of us, for example, the people who can't mobilize on a daily basis, like me, like Barat, like Dana, to be active, to be activists, at least we're doing the weekly protests so we could mobilize these people weekly. You know, on Sundays, come, mobilize yourself, right?
One more thing, guys, like government is spending taxes to send money to send that money as bombs and stuff on top of our people back home, right? When we protest, every time we protest, right, this is mobilizing police, mobilizing, you're shutting down streets, you're disrupting the normal traffic and normal economy of the place. And we're not taking the same route every time. So they're like, it's a new area, new exposure, more people are seeing us every time. Every single time we protest, it's taking money out of the government. It's costing the same people who are paying for genocide and are ignoring us and are not listening to us. It's a thorn in their side, and they're pretending like they don't hear us because they want to demotivate us, and they want people to say like like you were saying exactly, what will it do, what good does it do. I haven't heard anyone say anything, but please remember, guys, that there's a main streets in Montreal. This is responsible for bringing in economy and bringing businesses as usual, traffic and all those things. Every time you're taking the fact that like there's a group weekly every week non-stop stood up in Montreal for Palestine, shut down at least a whole street for Palestine. This is something that has cost the government and the SPVM and all these institutions a lot of money. The more they ignore us, so eventually they'll have to address it. If not, I'd rather have them waste the taxes here than overseas.
Yeah, my response, because I hear this a lot from non-Arabs. First of all, historically, we do these things because they work. I don't need to do people's homework for them. We don't have to do people's homework for them. How did we end South African apartheid? Boycott. How did Algeria free itself from colonialism? Resistance. What was the massive influence on ending the Vietnam War beyond resistance, of course? Protests. People stood up, they inconvenienced our government. This is known to work. So first of all, when people say that, there's reiterating Zionist talking points. I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you come to me and you say, I'm Muslim, I'm Palestinian, whatever it is. If you tell me that I'm not going to do it because I don't think it works, why are you talking like a Zionist? Don't talk to me like a Zionist. My friends don't talk to me that way. And if you are going to keep speaking to me in this way, you don't fit into my social circle. That's the first thing. I don't surround myself with these people. I don't think anyone who's an organizer surrounds themselves with these people. My family speaks like this sometimes. And I'm always reminding them, first of all, do this for yourself. If you are not making a single difference, at least you will have something to say for yourself. At least you are not going to spend eternity being judged for the fact that you didn't plant a seed, like Barat was saying. At least you're going to be able to say, even if I couldn't save that child, I did what I could. Beyond that, you will be making a difference. Statistically, you are making a difference. Every single one of you, by being here tonight, if you go and talk to one friend. I say this often when I call my parents. I say, okay, when did you talk about Palestine today? I say that to my friends. Come on. Did you talk about Palestine today? If one of my roommates is leaving the house, don't forget, talk about Palestine. That is doing something. My whole life, I had someone call me up the other day from middle school who said, I'm learning so much now, and I remember everyone made fun of you because you only talked about Palestine. Thank you so much for that. Your social circle will clean itself. The trash will take itself out. Our job is not to educate people who are not willing to do the bare minimum for humanity, because first of all, they're hurting themselves in the long run. And they're only expressing externally that they have internalized Zionist propaganda. They've internalized colonial imperialist propaganda. That sucks for them. I hope they come around in the long run. But again, as Palestinians, as organizers, it's not our job to be begging people on our knees to do these things. We do these things and we show they work on our own. I usually give it a couple times. I tell people 3-4 times, and then بكفي. خلاص, if you're not gonna get with the program, you can drink your Starbucks on the other side of the table. You're not gonna sit with me.
So I just had one comment, and I don't mean to bring it back to the discussion on the takbir, but there is a larger message for the youth over here. If you censor your vocabulary, if you censor your activities to accommodate to this Western culture, you are perpetuating the same Islamophobic tropes that are being pushed on us as a Muslim ummah every day. I also want to remind everybody that the association of takbir with terrorism started or I guess exploded after 9/11. Okay, so we've been living with this for over 20 years. I was in school when that happened. Prior to that, it wasn't like this. So this is an opportunity for the youth, for you guys to change that narrative and take it back, take the power back. And this is a very, very powerful movement. And this is this is not the time to be minimizing your Muslimness. Okay, you're supposed to be proud of it and showing and in fact like challenging those Islamophobic tropes.
First, I want to thank you guys. I think you're doing a very good job in general. Just one small thing you said, and I'm challenging you about this. You could challenge me back. You said we're demonstrating to try to change the thoughts of our leaders. That's why we do it in English. Well, for I think you will never change these people. If they saw 35,000 civilians getting killed and they haven't changed, you'll never change them. So for me, demonstrations and why I participate in demonstrations is to bring awareness. And bringing awareness in Quebec, unfortunately, is a lot of French. You know, for them, sometimes when they hear English, it's like the shaitan listening to the Quran. They start running away. So
only when a Muslim is saying it, because like I said, my friends and my colleagues got handed injunctions in English.
I'm English speaking. My second language is English.
But we're being communicated with in English. The police comes and talks to us in English. Everything is happening in English. It's only a problem when someone can't find something wrong that we did and they want to pick on those things. Because again, we're trying to balance as much as we can, and the community has seen it. We try to improve as much as possible.
I'm not saying you're not, and like I said, I praised you first. You know, I said you're doing a great job.
But I'm just.
But again, we live in a French province. They're very touchy about their French language. Very, very, very touchy about their French language.
Because they got colonized by the Brits.
Exactly.
After they colonized.
I'm with you, but we want to bring awareness to those people. We don't want to push them away.
We're trying to decolonize.
Of course. So, again, try to push more French just because of that. You know?
The only reason I'm pushing more French is for the audience, like you said, like for the people, the participants of that. And there's mainly also our English statements is because also mainly for the audience. Our Arabic ones is also for the audience. A lot of the audience that's coming, protesters I'm talking about.
Facebook, TikTok, all of it is English. We have less French.
No, but that's exactly what the thing is, that those are the things that go viral and in the audiences and they reach out. And this is how we are combating the media, by having more content than the Zionist regime that's going on outside of there. So in terms of the language barriers, I understand. I'm not going to go open in the dialogue. Even though you're challenging me with it, I agree with everything that you said, Saraha. We are trying our best to improve the French, and we are trying to be better representatives in this Quebec region. There's just a lot of factors, guys, and I'm telling you all, like there's a lot behind the curtains of our organizing that you guys don't see. There's a lot of the Gaza message that we're trying to carry forward that's hard to diversify and as much, so it takes time for us to make it a standard thing for everyone, which is why we're trying to recruit for more effort and open up the door for as much more people. But it's a journey that's gonna take time. I wanted to see if we could call it after we could have one more question maybe. But
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
The last question. The food is ready, so if you guys want to go enjoy. But my question is, you talk about balancing and having priorities regarding, as students, how you have to sacrifice for the cause and stuff. But I always wonder, I'm sure part of your team in M4P specifically, because it's not a student team, I believe, right? It's not like SPHR. Yeah, so I'm sure you have lawyers and you have people who are in the industry. So these people had to have degrees. So where do you balance taking a stance and sacrificing that stuff, and at the same time dividing roles, because you need these people who have degrees, for example? So where do you find the balancing point?
So it's all a matter of, honestly, most of the people in our team, I haven't seen them scared of anything or hesitated about anything yet. They're we're putting a lot of time into this. We're investing a lot of time into this. I personally dropped out of a couple of courses in order to be able to put more time into this. It like you said first, it's about priorities, and I'm not going to force my priorities on everyone here. In the end, everyone's life is individual to themselves, but there is ways that you could manage, and there's ways that you could allocate. But we also have a weapon. We're resistance, and we have a weapon in our hands that doesn't require place, doesn't require time, that doesn't require anything, right? And this does way more than any of you could think, even if you have 5 followers, right? It's not about that. It's not. It's about replace. It's about exposing what they are trying to hide. It's the less people that talk about it, the more it happens, and that the more we're talking about it. Which is why I believe that this year is a lot. Every year it's getting more and more different, but this year I feel like is really strong. Is because we finally understood how to use this. So we all have this very, very, very strong weapon in our hands that we don't take advantage of, and I feel like this allows us to do exactly what you and Rodian asked for earlier, is how to balance between activism and that. This is a walking activist right here.
I googled the world statistics today, and like I just found out that in the world, we're actually 4 billion people that are standing with the cause against only 400 million. Yeah, so interesting fact.
So- we're a lot, and don't let anyone tell you we're not. We're not like in that way. Where the public opinion is with us. We're doing the honorable thing at all time. Everyone, I want you all to remember that. What we're fighting for is not just for the people in Palestine. No, they don't need that fight for like Salahata. They have God, and Allah will reward them and protect them as much as they need. Well, we need to protect ourselves from having dead souls, Salahatan, more than anything, from being able to be part of a regime that kills and steals and like oppresses innocence. So this is all, we're all under that label. So either we decide to take it apart from behind the enemy lines in order to protect our family back home, or be part of the problem. And thank you all. I really want to thank Ahlillbait and Hassan for inviting me. I'm really sorry, all of you. I've had to drop on you last minute on the last time I was invited here. So I'm happy I got this opportunity to still see you and talk to you face to face. I do want to let you guys, I have a favor to ask you all. We do have in 2 days a national march in Ottawa, and this is where we want to represent to everyone that to everyone and our representatives that they do not represent, they are not speaking on our behalf, that the public opinion is completely against them, that their citizens know what human rights are and know what values are, and we see what's happening, and that we will not be silenced. So I please everyone, if you could all be there, no excuses. Really, it's one day that like it's. I feel like personally, I say like if you are coming for the Sunday ones, don't come. Just come to this one. Come to the Saturday one, because everyone's gonna be there. Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. We're trying to get like we're aiming for the millions in the millioni of Canada. Start taking it apart. Start taking apart the occupation one piece at a time. We have buses going there from here. So we'll arrange everything. If you have problems with securing the funds or anything like that, please email us. No excuses whatsoever. We want to make sure everyone that can make it makes it. We're also accepting donations for anyone that wants to help other people make it there. It's gonna be a full day of speaking up, and inshallah we will hear a big result for it. So we need all the effort that we can. If you want to volunteer with us over there, please reach out to me before I get out of this, or text me on Al-Bara for Palestine on Instagram, and I will add you to a WhatsApp group of all the volunteers. We also need all the hands that we could get. One of the things that helped us keep the protest going, Sarahatan, actually, I feel it's the main thing that helped us keep the protest every day, every week without any stopping, is the volunteers' presence in those protests, because it gives us a sense of security, protection, and it helps the SPVM focus on outside of the protest while we're focused on the inside. All right. Thank you all that's from my end, and hope to see you all in outside of the Monday. So we're supposed to meet on Ottawa at Parliament Hill at noon. Buses are going to be leaving from Montreal from Dorchester Square, if I'm not mistaken, at 9 a.m. There's also going to be people going with cars and stuff, I think, together. So reach out, try to carpool if you can, but I recommend the buses. It's going to be a good vibe for everyone. With all the, like, we're going to be all together, building relationships, getting to know each other on the way there. This is literally like for the people that think that you're not in a circle where you have people that speak like you or think like you. These buses is where those people will be at. So make sure to participate in any way that you feel that you can.
So I want to thank the speakers again, Ali, Bara, and Dana, for taking the time for this event. It's been a long time in planning, and they're all very busy. You know, we talk with them one day, and you can tell us how busy they are. And they're laughing now. That's what I think, at least. And they took the time to come here and speak to us directly, you know, build this sense of community. We're all here talking together. So I want to thank them again for that. We have a little something for them. Yeah, you can clap. You can clap. That's fine. Yeah. This is Farah. This is Farah Ali. مرة. It's very simple. عادي بناخدها حبيبي. لا 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 والله لا simple.